Hello everyone, and welcome. Now, with that January 31st, 2026 deadline for your tax return getting closer and closer, the experts over at My Tax Accountant have put together this really essential guide. We're going to tackle one of the most common and, let's be honest, one of the most stressful problems that people face all across the UK. What on earth do you do when you've lost your UTR number? Don't worry, let's get you sorted.
You know that feeling, right? The festive season's over and suddenly that tax deadline is just looming. Maybe you're a freelance designer in London, you've got all your invoices lined up, or maybe you're a landlord in Manchester with your receipts all organized. You've done the hard part, you're all set to file your self-assessment, but then you hit a brick wall.
So you go to log in, the system asks for that 10-digit unique taxpayer reference and nothing. It's just nowhere to be found, and your heart just sinks. Okay. First things first, take a deep breath. Seriously, do not panic. You are not the first person this has happened to, and you won't be the last. It happens to thousands of us every year. Today, we're going to walk through exactly how to find it step by step so you can get that tax return filed and out of the way.
Right, so before we dive into the search, let's just quickly get clear on what a UTR actually is. Honestly, knowing what you're looking for is half the battle. Plus, when you understand why it's so important, it kind of makes sense why HMRC is so protective of it. It's way more than just some random number.
The easiest way to think of a UTR is like your personal tax ID number with HMRC. It's this unique code that links your self-assessment tax return directly to you and all your tax records. It's the thread that ties everything together. Your income as a sole trader, any capital gains, your rental profits, you name it. If you have to submit a return, you've got one. It's the key that unlocks the whole system.
And here are two really key things to remember. Your UTR is always a 10-digit number. There are no letters in it, just numbers. So if you find a code with letters like your national insurance number, that's not what we're looking for. And second, once you get a UTR, it's yours for life. It doesn't change if you move or even if you stop being self-employed for a decade and then start a new business. It's permanent.
Okay, let's start the search. I like to call it a treasure hunt because, in most cases, your UTR is already hiding somewhere you can easily get to. It might feel lost, but it's probably just misplaced. You just need the map, and that's exactly what I'm about to give you. We'll start with the quickest methods first.
So we're going to follow a really simple three-step plan. First, we'll check your digital trail. This is usually the fastest way and solves it for most people. If that doesn't do the trick, we'll move on to step 2, searching through your physical paperwork. And then finally, we'll have a look at any other past letters from HMRC. One of these steps should get you there.
All right, here are all the usual hiding spots. The number one quickest place to look is your online personal tax account or the HMRC app. Just log in, click on self-assessment, and it should be right there at the top of the page. If you can't get online, then it's time to check your paper files. Go look for that original Welcome to Self-Assessment letter, that's Form SA-250. It will also be right on the front page of any tax returns you filed in the past or on any payment reminders or statements of account. And finally, check any tax calculation summaries, the SA-302s, which you might have if you've ever applied for a mortgage.
And here's a quick pro tip, just to make sure you never have this panic again, the second you find that number, save it. Don't just think, oh, I'll remember where that is now. Actually save it somewhere safe but easy for you to find. Pop it in a secure note on your phone, or even better, stick it in a password manager. Trust me, you will be thanking yourself next year. But what happens if you've looked everywhere? You checked online, you've gone through all your documents, and it's just not there? Well, first off, that happens sometimes. So don't worry, there is a final option. It's time to go directly to the source, HMRC. You can definitely ask HMRC to send you your UTR, but, and this is a big but, it is not an instant process. This is where a lot of people get caught out. For your own security, they follow some very strict rules, and knowing what they are in advance is going to save you a whole lot of stress as January gets closer. Okay, this is probably the most important point, so please listen up. HMRC will never, and I mean never, give you your UTR over the phone or by email. It's all about security, preventing fraud and identity theft. The only thing they will do is post it, using Royal Mail, to the address they have on file for you. And here's the kicker, it can take up to 15 working days to arrive. That's 3 whole weeks. So if that deadline is creeping up, you need to make that call right now. So when you call the self-assessment helpline, make sure you have your national insurance number handy, because they'll need it to confirm it's you. The number you need is 0300 200 3310. They're open from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on weekdays. And here's a little insider tip. Try and call as early as you can, ideally right at 8 a.m.
The phone lines are usually way quieter then, which means less time waiting on hold.
So let's talk about why we're making such a big deal about this. Why is finding this number so urgent? Well, it's not just about getting some admin sorted. It's about avoiding some very real and pretty expensive penalties for filing your tax return late. And stay with me here. The scale of these penalties might just surprise you.
This is the first number you really need to avoid, a £100 fixed penalty. This gets applied automatically if your tax return is just 1 day late. And here's the thing that catches so many people out. It doesn't matter if you don't actually owe any tax, or even if HMRC owes you a refund, that penalty still applies. It's for filing late, not paying late. And that is just the beginning.
Just look at how quickly this penalty clock can tick up. After 3 months, HMRC starts charging you £10 a day. That can go on for 90 days, adding up to another £900. At 6 months late, there's another penalty of either 5% of the tax you owe or £300, whichever's more. And that same penalty gets applied again when you're 12 months late. As you can see, it can get really expensive really quickly.
Okay, I know, those penalties sound pretty scary. And they're meant to be. But what if something really serious happened that stopped you from filing? Life happens, right? And HMRC does have a system in place for this. It's something called a reasonable excuse.
Now, a reasonable excuse has to be something properly serious and unexpected. We're talking about things like the death of a close family member just before the deadline, a sudden illness that lands you in the hospital, or even your computer completely dying right as you were filing. But it's also important to know what they don't accept. Things like, I forgot, it was too hard, or my payment bounced. Those won't work. And a key thing is you have to file your return as soon as you possibly can once the issue is resolved.
Wow, we've covered a lot, from hunting for your UTR online to the scary world of late filing penalties. It can definitely feel like a lot to take in, but the most important thing to remember is this: you really don't have to figure all this out by yourself.
Let's be real, dealing with tax admin is a headache. It takes up time and energy that you could be spending on what you do best, running your business, creating amazing designs, whatever it is. All that time spent chasing paperwork is time you're not earning. And that's where getting professional help can honestly make all the difference, turning all that stress into total peace of mind.
The team at My Tax Accountant are absolute specialists in this. They can give you expert advice, not just on finding your UTR, but on everything to do with your taxes, making sure you're compliant and as tax efficient as possible. They can even act as your agent and deal with HMRC for you. You can give them a call on 0208 570 8531 or drop them an email at info@mytaxaccountant.co.uk. And for more helpful tips just like this, make sure you subscribe to their YouTube channel.
All right, just a quick but very important disclaimer. The information we've shared today is for general guidance only. We've worked hard to make it as helpful as possible, but it really shouldn't be the only thing you rely on when you're making financial decisions about your tax affairs.
You see, everyone's tax situation is unique. Your circumstances are totally different from the next person's. So before you take any action, we always advise that you consult with the qualified experts at My Tax Accountant to get advice that's tailored specifically for you. Finding your UTR is that first critical step. With the right information and the right support, you can get way ahead of those deadlines, you can avoid all those nasty penalties, and you can face your taxes not with dread, but with complete confidence. Thanks so much for watching.